Good afternoon. Well, we're here today to inspire you and to invite you to take a second look on some Tableau features that maybe if you're just beginning in Tableau, you've just learned those features, or if you're an experienced developer, you might be overlooking those features because you think you already know them and they're quite simple. But we think that those are features that have a great potential to help you with some complex business challenges. So we're going to show you how we use them to solve our business challenges, and those are business challenges that will probably resonate with a lot of you.
So what we want to do today is really help you kick up your pace, get your game going, and show you how we use Tableau to really deliver extra business value to our customers. So we're going to combine a bit of technical sides and business sides and hope to inspire you today. Next to me, a short presentation is Ingrid. She is the visualization specialist at Dentsu Aegis, the company we work from. She's from Brazil. She is learning Dutch, so she's doing very well. We're based in Amsterdam. With the whole Heartbeat project and the case we're going to tell you, she is the one who I say saved my ass by really improving the dashboards that we were already using, by using all the features that we will be running through, and it really helped us deliver a much better and improved dashboard. And she's also a good painter, and last but not least, you should really follow her on LinkedIn because she gives really nice advice on visualizations and how to improve understanding of your data.
Well, I'm going to go over here for a moment just so we can interact a bit more also with this part of the audience. But my friend Lisette, she's our market research team lead, and well, she was the person that inspired us in this whole project that we're going to present to you today, the Heartbeat case. That is the case that we're going to use just to show you a bit more of those business challenges and features that I showed you. And well, she was the person that encouraged all the team to keep positive even when things are not going so great with the client or we're not going so great with the tool. So she was the one who motivated us to really keep it going and keep innovating and really keep using Tableau to solve these business challenges for our clients and also for our company. And well, she makes a great limoncello, and she's the mother of 2 beautiful kids, and she's just a great person to work with. And we both work at Dentsu Aegis Network, which is a marketing media agency. And our office is based in Amsterdam, but Dentsu has offices all around the world. And we're going to show you a bit of what we're doing also as a data company. So this presentation specifically, those 5 steps to master high-level marketing performance, what is this about? This is about what we call the Heartbeat dashboard case, but specifically, we want to show you these 5 simple features. So it's not going to be 5 steps like a cake recipe, but it's going to be about those 5 simple features that have this great potential to help you with your business challenges.
And we're going to connect them to one of the important things that we do for our clients, and that is measure brand health. And if you really want to understand the health of your brand and how your brand is doing, you really need to take into account a lot of different sources, data sources, to improve the health of your brand and to really understand what the health of your brand is. So we're combining them to the challenge we have with our clients in measuring brand health.
The 3 things that we're going to tell you about today is first, what is this Heartbeat and why we created it? Then how we made it possible using Tableau, because this is why we're all here, right? And then finally, how to take this kind of high-level dashboards to a next level. So we're going to talk a bit about the impact that this had in our clients, but also some ideas for the future that you can also apply. So let's start with what is this Heartbeat dashboard and why we created it.
Yeah, so what I already briefly mentioned to you is that as a media company, we spend money for our advertisers, a lot of money for our advertisers, and what they really want to know is what is the impact of what I'm spending on my brand. So is my brand awareness doing well? Am I reaching the right people? How is my TV campaign doing? Are people interacting? with all the content that I'm creating, or are they going to my website? So there's a lot of information available at media companies in order to really understand brand health. And what we say is we use all this data for different people, but also with different goals. So one of the first challenges we have is that we just want to justify what we're doing. So if we're talking about any well-known brand, if they're investing, they would really want to see long-term effects of advertising on, for example, brand awareness or on preference of a brand, or we want to show people that if they are doing a campaign, that people are interacting. So we really want to justify the money that we're spending and what the effect is of what we're spending on the marketing and media KPIs. So this is the first step in justification of your money. The second way we use data is to really understand what's going on. So who is your client? What do they prefer? What do they like about your brand? What is the perception they have of your brand? So to really understand your customer, and not only understand your customer, but also understand the effect of your investment on your brand awareness. And if you have higher brand awareness, does this automatically lead to people interacting more or people to buying more? So we really have a challenge to find the trickle-down effect of spend all the way up to sales. So that is also how we use data. So first to justify, to understand. But then once you understand what's going on, and once you understand your client, and once you know what's going on with all your KPIs and the most important business goals that you have, you also want to optimize, because as I said, we're spending a lot of money, but we really want to spend this money very smartly. So our clients keep challenging us also to optimize our media strategy, maybe move around budget from online spends to offline spends, or particularly the other way around. Move more to radio, because we see that if we're using radio budget, it's resonating more, or it's moving people more to the website. So we're also using data to optimize our strategy. And even if we do traditional market research, to kind of optimize the creatives that our client has. So we say the first three, every organization should really look into justification, understanding, and optimization. But as you are organizing your data in a really good way, we also feel that once you have it all set up and once you have everything integrated, the next step will be to predict. So if I'm going to be spending €1 million on a TV campaign, what do you think will happen in 2, 3, 4 weeks, and what will it do for my brand? So how will my brand health resonate to that? So this is something is very difficult, you probably will all understand, but that is something that we want to move towards the prediction phase and make sure we can help our customers make the next step there.
Yeah, and although we're talking more about brand health here, these are steps that most people should follow if you're talking about data, because you're also using data to justify, to understand, to optimize, and to predict, also if you're not a media agency. But we're going to just quickly, before we deep dive on how we did this, we wanted to show you a 1-minute video that really summarizes a bit of what is this dashboard and how we apply these concepts there.
Traditional reporting on brand metrics doesn't cut it anymore. Branding, performance, online, offline. Each marketing specialist has their own perspective on campaign results. Dan DNA can provide a full picture of all your marketing efforts by measuring the true impact of all your campaigns. Say hello to the Heartbeat. The Heartbeat uniquely combines data from all relevant media channels, both offline and online. It also unifies your website traffic and CRM data, like footfall and sales figures. It gives real-time insights into the effect of your media spends on the upper funnel with branding, and also on the lower funnel, like store transactions. Next, the data is translated into clear stories to ensure that the newly discovered insights are shared across all of your marketing teams. Thanks to the Heartbeat, you have the power to see what truly makes the heart of your customer beat faster.
Well, unfortunately, the cute robot is only part of the video, but we're going to show you why this dashboard is really awesome. So as you could see, what we really wanted in this dashboard was to understand the effect of each KPI on the others. So we had all of those brand KPIs, and we wanted to understand basically the trickle-down effect of these KPIs on the others. And what does that mean, this trickle-down effect? It meant that we, as a marketing agency, as a media agency, were spending money from our clients on ads, on all kinds of ads. And we wanted to know how these media spends were turning into sales. But there are a lot of KPIs there in the middle. So how did these media spends influence all of those business KPIs all the way down into sales? So that meant that we had a lot of offline and online data. We needed to do a lot of data quality assurance because this meant that we had lots of data sources as well. And we needed to do automated updates. So this was the basics for this dashboard. But we needed to show visually this trickle-down effect. So this effect of KPIs influencing one another. We also needed to have clear insights about the funnel bottlenecks, so to understand what was going on where each KPI influenced the other. And finally, we needed this unified story of campaign results from different brands. So we needed to unify different data sources, but also to unify the story. But we had a long way to go because we had a lot of business challenges as well.
Yeah, so I can imagine it all sounds very easy, but we've been working on this for 2 years for different clients, and I can really assure you that the first version wasn't as good as where we are now, but we're still improving. But yeah, sometimes in the story it seems that it's been an easy road, but it's also been a bumpy ride. So that's why we're very proud to share some of these things with you. And I think you will also relate to some of the challenges that we're going to tell you about. So one of them was, for example, we're a media company, and as I already said, we have a lot of data. And we have different teams throughout the company servicing our clients. So we have online teams who were looking into the data analytics, and they were advising the client on how to optimize the website traffic and how to arrange everything in there and how to get people to the website. But this is only a small part, of course, of performance. And I, from the market research team, I was working with brand managers, and brand managers or product managers were only looking into the effects of advertising on your brand metrics. So you could imagine, and the media manager was looking at how much money am I spending and what am I doing. So you can imagine there was a lot of silos and everyone was reporting back to the client, and our client just said, well, that's nice, but I can just say, I will use the performance that the online marketers are giving back to me if that story resonates better in my organization. So what we were saying is everyone was pushing a story to the client, but we were not combining all the different performance metrics together and showing that to the whole team. So we were really operating in silos. We were having difficulty with showing what the effect was of our spends on the metrics. Actionable insights, well, what I already just briefly mentioned is that the client was just using what suited them best. So we had a lot of actionable insights coming from different teams, but we really needed to make sure that all the teams were working with the same insights. One of the clients also challenged us with, yes, it's nice to know what's going on in the upper funnel, so what's happening with media and my brand, but how does it really affect the sales I have, and are people really coming to my store or to my website? So we really also wanted to relate this to the long-term effects of a strong brand on brand awareness or on even on sales. And we had some challenges with the synergetic effect. So if I'm doing TV and radio, will this affect my brand more than if I'm spending the same amount of money only in an online campaign, for example? So these were all kind of business challenges we had, and that the client also challenged us, and we thought, oh, how are we going to really tackle this? Because we were reporting in a good way, we thought, but we really needed to start combining stuff. And we didn't only have business challenges, we also had a few more technical challenges. We were doing a lot of market research, which has a long run-through period. So we were reporting on a quarterly base or 2 monthly base. So the campaign had already been finished two months, and then we were going back to the client and reporting on brand metrics and saying how the campaign did. There was no time to optimize or change things because the campaign had already finished, so you could take a few learnings out of there and use that to optimize your next campaign, but it was really taking too long, and specifically with more online data being available real time, we really needed to up our pace there as well. Also, you can understand in the past, it was a lot of TV and radio and outdoor, and these media channels, they have very high reach. So if you're measuring the effectiveness of a campaign, when you're doing channels like this, because you have high reach, it's easy to see the effects, but also our clients are also moving more and more budget towards online channels, and they're much more fragmented and much more specific, and it's a lot more difficult to measure the effects of the online campaign. So that was also a reason why we really needed to add the online campaign, the online data to our brand health monitor. Incomplete brand view, something to do with, especially because it's all started in the market research team, this challenge, and we were measuring brand awareness, so upper parts of the funnel. And it kind of feels like you're going to look at your whole body, you're going to run a marathon. The goal is to finish this 42 kilometers in a certain time. And you're only looking at if your heart is doing well and your heartbeat is at the right pace. But you forget to look at your leg, and you have a broken leg, so it won't make sense that you run this marathon because you're not going to finish. So we were kind of hanging up a lot of money on only a small part of the brand health. So that is also something that we had to tackle and challenge.
So we had all of these challenges, and I want to first explain to you what was our high-level approach, then we can deep dive on what we did in the dashboards. So our high-level solution was this integrative approach. So we always work with dashboard layers when we're talking about dashboard projects. And the first layer is the layer that we call the interface, but it's what we usually call the actual dashboard, right? So it's on our data visualization tool, where we have the actual charts to answer these business questions. In this case, it was Tableau. And we always have a team of specialists related to each one of those layers. And in this case, we have both people specialized in analytics to understand more about the business questions and the things that I want to have answered in this dashboard, but also people specialized in visualization to understand and to contribute on how you can visualize better and how you can drive more insights from that data. And so this is more for creating greater user experience and just driving better insights. So the bottom layer are the data sources. Those are the marketing tools and the media tools where we get our data from. There we have some specialists on data collection. Those are the guys that take the data from all of those multiple sources and give to us that integrated view. You can connect your data sources directly to your data visualization tool. We have great resources to do that in Tableau. But in our case, we were using a middle layer that is the database in MySQL database, just to structure this data. And we had a few algorithms just to run some tests on data accuracy to do the data quality control. So for that, we had a specialist on data management. So we have this layered approach. It's important for you to understand why we had this integrative approach, because this integrative approach was also on the sense that we had lots of data sources. So to do all of these things that Lisette explained, to justify, to optimize, to understand, and to predict. So that meant that we had lots and lots of data. And we also had to have an integrative approach also on the data that we were dealing with.
Yeah, so what I already briefly told you before is that we were looking at, when running the marathon, we were only looking at a certain part of the body, for example. This is also our approach to how to look at data. So if you really want to understand your consumers and your consumer behavior, we also feel that you have to use different data sources, different types of behavioral data to really understand your customer and understand the effects of your campaign. So what we say is we start off and we really want to use 3 types of behavior. The first one is declared behavior. So that is actually what are people saying that they're doing. So we use a lot of survey data, research data, which we add into the heartbeat. And this is basically, are people aware of the brand? Do they know my brand? Are they having different intentions? Do they have a change in perception? But there's also a lot of measured data. So measured data, for example, is more about, are people buying things? Are people on my website and interacting with my advertising? Are they visiting my shop more frequently? Are they spending more money? And then the third pillar of our data integration is about social media data, social behavior data. So we have people saying that they're doing things, we're actively measuring that people are doing things, but we also feel that you really need to add what people are sharing about your brand or the advertiser's brand. So these 3 pillars will give you a lot of information about consumer behavior, because you have everything, all data that you have available will be in there. And there's some examples there of where the data comes from. So what I said, it's social media data, more research data, and measured behavioral data.
Yeah, at the beginning, we basically just had declared behavior, which is more for brand awareness, so the top of the marketing funnel. And we wanted to integrate all of that. We thought, what if we put all of this in Tableau? What kind of insights we can get from that? So that was the basis of our integrative approach in terms of data. So now that you know a bit of what is the heartbeat and why we created it, let's really take a deep dive on see the heartbeat and take a look at those business challenges and relate them to the Tableau features that helped us with each one of those. So this was the first version of the heartbeat. When I joined Dentsu 1.5 years ago, this was the version that we had on.
I'm not very proud of it.
Yeah, it
doesn't look very nice.
Good. It was already quite good because we had some KPI trends compared to the previous year. So the gray area was the previous year, and the green area, for some people it's going to be blue, was just the current year. We also had the KPI values, the growth and the influence. So the arrows represented the influence of each KPI on another, that kind of trickle-down effect that we were talking about. However, we had a lot of issues with that because, for example, we had different pages for each part of the funnel. So we didn't have that complete version that we wanted. We had simply different Tableau dashboards or Tableau pages there for these different parts. We also had a period selection that was not user-friendly, so most of you will recognize that this is not a good thing to have, because you had to select 1 week at a time over there, and that really made it quite confusing, because especially if you wanted to select a larger period, and that led to mistakes if you were comparing data or reporting data or discussing data with your client. Then if you're not selecting the same period, then it's not going to be the same data, right? And also the growth percentages confused the client a bit, because in this example, we're putting the growth percentage of a percentage instead of using percentage points, so that was a bit confusing as well. But I think the worst thing was that this arrow setup that we had did not allow the use of tooltips. So on the first version, these arrows were actually a transparent image on top of the chart, so we could not use tooltips to explain what was going on with that data. So this was the first version. It was already quite good, but we had a long way to go with it. The second version, you might recognize from an earlier slide. This was the master funnel version. In this version, it was already quite improved because we had that integrated funnel view. So for example, we had on the same page, we had the upper drum with brand awareness. Brand awareness, remember, it was the only thing that we had on the beginning, but we also had the mid drum that was basically online engagement, and the lower drum that was based on conversion. So we had a lot of KPIs for brand awareness, online engagement, and conversion, all in that same view, and all related with those arrows to see that trickle-down effect of how those KPIs were influencing one another. We also had a proper period picker, yay! But not only a proper period picker, but also the comparison of trends with a previous year, month, or week. I'm going to go into more detail on how we did that later, so you can like take pictures and reproduce that. And we also had a new arrow structure that was really much better. We used simply the tiled layout from Tableau to build this. And this allowed us to use the tooltips and to explain a bit more for our clients what was going on with this dashboard. We also had more flexibility to compare the KPI trends. So we added those just simple line charts with parameters where you could pick whatever KPIs that you wanted to compare. This dashboard was already much better, this version, but it was just simply too much information for our clients to grasp. So it was quite good, and our internal teams could already bring some insights for our clients, but the clients would consider this just simply too much information for them to understand. And we needed, especially for clients that were still developing their data savviness, we needed to help them more to understand the potential of this dashboard and to really use it. So this is the current version that we have. We call it the customer version, the customer journey version. So before we had that idea of master funnel, and now we have a customer journey. Well, at least in marketing, we're really shifting that notion of funnel to more of a thinking more of a customer journey. In practice, that means that instead of a vertical flow, we have a horizontal flow on the dashboard, but that also changed the perception of the clients about the KPIs that should be on the dashboard. So just by looking at this dashboard, this trickle-down effect dashboard, from a more customer journey perspective instead of master funnel, that changed the KPIs that they wanted to see. In this version, we also enhanced the KPIs. So you might not be able to recognize here because the brightness is not helping, but it's just the main KPIs are just in a lighter gray box, and the rest is in a white box. That means a lot because here we have 22 measurements. Not all of them are going to be key performance indicators. So we need to enhance what's really important. It's important to have all the rest there as well for the clients to compare and have a bit more context on the data. But it's important to enhance what is actually key for the business. In this case, it was share of spends, reach, campaign recognition, if people were recognizing their campaigns. This is based on survey data. And finally, sales. We also grouped the KPIs in a different way. So instead of having that upper, mid-funnel, and lower funnel idea, we had these 4 groups here: the marketing activity, reach and frequency, marketing impact, and results. Results was based on transactions and sales. And on these dashboards, we finally had tooltips with additional information for the clients, and that helped a lot, as we're going to see next, because we're finally getting to those key challenges that demanded Tableau features to help to be used to their full potential. So we're not going to talk about rocket science here and difficult things in Tableau, but that's also going to be useful, I hope, for more experienced dashboard developers, because sometimes we just overlook features that we think are simple. And really, if you use them thinking about the business challenges that you have to solve, they can really help you a lot.
So we defined 5 different data challenges or business challenges that we had, and what we're going to do in the next 15 minutes is take you through these business challenges and tell you more about what features of Tableau really helped us to improve visualization and understanding of the dashboard. And what you already heard probably this morning, that one of the biggest fears of people building dashboards is that people are not looking into your dashboards, and that is usually because they are too complex or people are not understanding things. So we think that with these 5 challenges that we had and the features of Tableau, we can really help you make the next step there. So we will be taking you through them step by step. So one of the first challenges, and I presume that everyone has to do with this, if you're building a dashboard and there's different business questions or marketing questions or financial questions, you will probably have different stakeholders looking at your dashboard, and every stakeholder has a different question that they want answered with the dashboard. So what is the trend of my KPIs might be a question that a marketing manager has, but a media manager might say, ooh, how is my media performance doing today? So you have different people looking at the same dashboard, but you really want to make sure that everyone is looking at the right question that they need answered in the dashboard. So we use a feature for that to improve the access.
What we use to deal with these multiple stakeholders is basically user management. User management is quite simple, so probably all of you already use. But if you're just thinking, okay, if someone comes to my desk or emails me, I need access to this dashboard, or please give access to this or this other person, then you're not thinking that by you giving them access or by grouping them in different stakeholder groups that you can have in Tableau, you're actually solving this issue of having multiple stakeholders and having multiple questions coming from all sides to answer with one single high-level dashboard. Because with these high-level dashboards where we integrate all of data from multiple departments, all of those departments will want access to this dashboard. We're not building dashboards that are specific for each one of those departments. So this is why we use groups. And simply group similar stakeholders with access to specific dashboards. And also in the user settings, we use just different permission levels and access to specific dashboards. So this is the simplest just the simplest feature that we have, but it's that we're going to talk to today. We're going to mention a lot more features, but it helped us solve quite a complex business challenge, because not only we had multiple stakeholders on our client side, with multiple departments on our client side that wanted access to this dashboard, but also internal stakeholders, because a lot of different departments on our media agency also needed access to this dashboard.
So the next challenge that we had is that Ingrid was already showing you. There are companies that are tech savvy and data savvy, but there's also a lot of companies that might not be used to looking into dashboards and getting the insights out that they need. So the first few versions of the Heartbeat, we really had some difficulty in getting people to open the dashboard, look into it, and within one overview, really seeing what was going on with there. So we had a business question, but it was quite difficult for the people to open the dashboard and look into the challenge they had. So there was too much information there for the clients to understand directly what was going on. And I think this is something that everyone will agree on, that this is one of the biggest challenges that you might have. And there was also some difficulty with the data quality. So are we all talking about the same things? People were saying things looked weird. So we had a few features from Tableau that really helped us make the next step there.
Well, did you ever open your fridge or open a tab on your desktop and you think what was I going to do next? And clients would open the dashboard and they would just stare at it and what is this saying me? What was I going to do with this dashboard? And they really just were having a hard time driving insights from that dashboard. And it was already quite valuable because it was already integrating all of those data sources. But clients were just really having a hard time driving insights from that. So they had to stare for a long time. And this is why we say that was a long time to insight, and that you need to reduce this time to insight, because it has to be intuitive. And the dashboard needs to give the business questions answers right away. And also, the clients were struggling because they would look at this dashboard and they would think that some values were a bit weird or might be wrong. So we also needed to improve how we dealt with data quality. What we used for that, actually one of the things that we used for that was the feature of color coding and dynamic legends. So it's not rocket science, as you can see here, we have the growth percentages are using dynamic colors. Maybe some of you already have this in some of your dashboards or are starting to explore this. And how we do this is just, especially if you're just beginning in Tableau, this might be useful for you if you want to take a picture. I see a couple of people like just with their phones up already. We just use a calculated field for negative and positive values. You can also do it with slightly different calculations. And then you assign the traffic light palette. It's quite simple. But we were also using color coding for our quality control. So we have an algorithm that tests the real data against our naming conventions, just to see if what the inputs of the media traders are putting on the platforms, they match what they should be inputting. Because that influences the cleanliness of the data that we're seeing, especially on the filters. So we test this using this algorithm, and we also have a dashboard in Tableau to have the results of this algorithm. And what it's saying to me is basically how many of the real values that I have on the media tools are valid according to our naming convention. So I have the validity scores here, and for different media tools, for DBM, for Google Campaign Manager, for Facebook, I have the percentage. And in this case, they were doing quite a terrible job here, and we had a lot of things to fix. So all of the things, all of the percentages in red were things that we needed to fix on the media platforms so we could get good quality data on the other dashboards. So this was more for quality control for the other dashboards as well. And for this, we were also using color coding and basically dynamic legends. And it's quite an easy feature, but if you think about the business challenge that you're solving with this quite simple feature, you can see that it really has a large potential to really just solve all your business challenges. What is the next one?
Lack of centralized data and integrated data. What we saw and what Ingrid already showed you is that when we started off with the first Heartbeat dashboard, we were integrating a lot of different data, so we were very proud of that. But we were still splitting our master funnel or customer journey into 3 different parts. So we had the upper funnel, so the awareness figures, and we have all the online data in a different view, and we had the sales data in the 3rd view. So still, yes, we were integrating everything and putting everything into one dashboard, but we weren't able to see the full overview of all the KPIs and the effect of one KPI on the other. So we really needed to make sure that all these different data that we had, and we had it in one dashboard, but in different places. How do we really get our insights out of this?
Well, to deal with this lack of centralized and integrated data, I talked to you about a bit of that integrative approach that we had. So we had, for one of our clients, for example, up to 10 data sources that we were integrating. And on the database, we did a few calculations but aggregated measurements we wouldn't pre-calculate. So we only pre-calculated things that we would not aggregate later, just to make sure that we would save a bit of the processing in Tableau. So we would pre-calculate some things on the database, but anything that was aggregated, we needed to do in Tableau. And for that, we used the calculated fields, just for proper aggregation. So all aggregated measurements from multiple data sources, so sometimes we were calculating things combining different data sources, we were using calculated fields to get the values that we needed.
Yeah, and one of the important challenges that was actually one of the first challenges that the client came to us with was what is the trickle-down effect of one KPI on the other? So if I am spending money, does it actually lead to a higher reach? And if I have a higher reach of my campaign, if I've reached my audience, does this actually lead to more website traffic? So how is one KPI related to the other? And how do I know that if I have a strong brand awareness, that this will lead more people visiting my website? So we really wanted to understand, like, top down from spends and money that was going into the campaigns, all the way down to sales, what the trickle-down effect would be. So we could really allocate and adjust and optimize the money that we were spending and make sure that we optimized on that.
I think this one is one of my favorites because it's quite related to the core goal of that dashboard and what our clients really needed and were struggling to get with their dashboards. And what we used to show this trickle-down effect was basically parameters. So how many of you are using parameters already on your dashboards? Okay, great. I think I saw like 50% raising their hands. How are we using parameters? We're using two kinds of parameters. We're using parameters to check the growth. So for all the growth percentages, you could pick there either week or year or month. So you would compare the values to the previous year, week, or month. And we're also using parameters to check the trends. So we have all the list of KPIs, all of the KPIs that you have on this first dashboard, you have on that second parameter, and you can select any two KPIs so you can compare the trends. And this is just an interaction that was open for the client as well to compare. In order to configure this kind of parameter, especially for people that are just starting in Tableau or that are doing different kinds of parameters, you might want to take a picture of this. We just configure the parameter for the compare period. We configure it as a string type parameter. And then we create a calculated field with a case function to refer to the values on that parameter. And this calculated field is the field that needs to be in the charts. What is our last challenge, Lisette?
Lack of data culture and data democratization. This was something that we really ran into and which caused us a lot of challenges when building the heartbeat. We were talking in the first place to a lot of brand and media and marketeers, and well, they are used to looking at data, but it's mostly PowerPoint presentation kind of data, and it was quite difficult for them to move over from a static PowerPoint presentation where I would give feedback on or tell the story to moving towards a dashboard with one source of truth. But I think it was very important to really all be looking, all the different teams, not only at our agency, but also at the client's agency, all to be looking at one single source of truth. Because when we started, the online team was talking about awareness, and awareness for them was people visiting the websites. Whilst the brand managers say, well, if people are already visiting my website, then for me it's not awareness anymore. People are already considering because they're looking for more information. So within the organization, there was people talking about awareness or conversion or a sale in a store in a different way. So what it also, this dashboard really helped us to give this client a single source of truth and understand really what we were talking about with all the different KPIs.
Yeah, basically, we needed to use the dashboard to teach them about data. And what we used for that were tooltips. So our tooltips are quite wordy. They have just really lots of information there. This is quite a summarized, but you have, for example, for each one of those boxes, it will give you the percentage of, for example, this is for relevance, but it will also give you the expected range per week. So you have the range that you can expect for this KPI relevance. So even if you're a different department, because if you're from the same department that already works with this KPI, you have this on your head. You have the expected range on your head. But if you're from a different department that is looking to this dashboard, then it's good to have something to compare and to know if this is according to what it should be. Also, we put there the reason to measure, so sometimes it's to evaluate the brand health or to understand effectiveness or to understand how well we are executing the media plan. So we put there the reason to measure, especially because if we're doing with a lot of measurements from a lot of data sources, then sometimes even even the team that is building the dashboard forgets, why did we put this here?
I really love the tooltips, because also for me and my team, it was like, oh, what was it again? And then you just hover over, and there was a lot of information in there. So it was very, we were very happy when we added these to the dashboard. Yeah.
We also added there the data sources. So some of these measurements combine are just summing or combining things from different data sources, or as we showed on the calculated fields, they're calculating things from different data sources. And if something goes bad, then we need to know who to call. And we know who to call because we know from which data sources this is coming from. And finally, we have the definition. And this was quite important because all of those multiple stakeholders, sometimes they were talking about, they were using the same name, but they were actually using different calculations for the same, what was the same KPI. So it was quite important for us to include the definition there. So everyone would speak the same language when it came to data, and everyone would know exactly what we were referring to for each one of those KPIs. So using the tooltips was also quite important for us to just spread this data culture and also to democratize data, because then people who would receive access to the data using that user management thing